The distress beacon came from nowhere, a weak signal pulsing through the dark void of the Kepler Nebula like a dying heartbeat. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Starbound, watching the readings scroll across his screen. 3 years of deep space exploration had taught him to be careful about unknown signals, but something about this one felt different. Distance to signal source? Jake asked his navigation officer. 12 hours at current speed, sir, came the reply. Dr. Maya Collins looked up from her research station where she had been cataloging samples from their last planetary survey. The xenobiologist had joined the Starbound crew fresh out of the academy, eager to discover new forms of life in the unexplored regions of space. Her brown eyes sparkled with curiosity as she approached the command chair. Any idea what kind of ship it might be? Maya asked. Lieutenant Amy Brooks, the ship's security officer, shook her head. The signal pattern doesn't match anything in our database. Could be a trap. Jake studied the readings again. Amy was right to be cautious, but his instincts told him this was genuine. Dr. Kane, prep the medical bay for possible survivors. Maya, get your xenobiology kit ready. Amy, I want a full security team on standby. Dr. Peter Kane nodded from his position at the medical station. The chief medical officer had seen enough distress calls to know that most of them ended badly, but he always hoped for the best. The journey to the signal took them deeper into the nebula than any human ship had traveled before. The swirling clouds of gas and cosmic dust created a beautiful but dangerous maze of radiation and gravitational anomalies. When they finally reached the source, what they found took their breath away. A massive alien vessel drifted before them, easily 3 times the size of the Starbound. Its design was unlike anything in the galactic database, smooth curves mixed with sharp angles, as if someone had tried to create both beauty and menace in the same design. The ship's hull was dark, with strange markings that seemed to shift and flow like living things. Life signs? Jake asked. Amy ran her scanners over the alien vessel, detecting faint biosignatures, but they're weak. Very weak. Could be dying, Dr. Kane added quietly. Maya felt her heart race with excitement and concern. This could be first contact with a completely unknown species. We have to help them. Jake nodded. Prep the shuttle. Maya, you're with me. Amy, full. Security escort. Dr. Kane, bring emergency medical supplies. The shuttle bay of the alien ship was enormous, designed for vessels much larger than their small shuttle. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across the walls as the team made their way through corridors that seemed built for beings much taller than humans. The air was breathable but carried a strange metallic scent that made Maya's nose tingle. Bodies lay scattered throughout the ship. Maya knelt beside the first one they encountered, her scanner revealing a humanoid form covered in what looked like scales. The creature had 4 arms and stood nearly 8 feet tall even in death. Deep wounds covered its body, as if something with massive claws had torn through it. What could have done this? Amy whispered, her weapon ready. Maya continued. Standing, these wounds? They're not from energy weapons. Something with physical claws did this? Something big? They moved deeper into the ship, finding more bodies. All bore the same terrible wounds. Dr. Kane tried to scan for medical data, but the alien technology was too different from their own. Systems? The biosignatures are coming from the lower levels, Amy reported. The corridors grew darker as they descended. The emergency lighting was failing and strange sounds echoed through the ship, creaks and groans that could have been the vessel settling or something else entirely. Finally, they reached a large chamber deep in the ship's belly. Maya's scanner was going crazy, detecting a single strong life sign somewhere in the darkness ahead. Jake activated his flashlight, and the beam cut through the gloom to reveal something that made them all step back. In the center of the chamber lay a creature unlike anything Maya had ever seen. It was massive, at least 12 feet long, with crystalline scales that caught and reflected their lights in rainbow patterns. 6 powerful limbs ended in claws that could easily tear through metal, and a long tail with spikes along its length lay motionless on the floor, but it was the creature's eyes that captured Maya's attention. Large and intelligent, they glowed with a soft blue light that was fading even as she watched. The being's breathing was labored, each breath a struggle that shook its entire body. "Stay back," Amy warned, raising her weapon. Maya ignored the warning and stepped forward. Her scanner showed massive internal injuries. Whatever had attacked this ship, this creature had fought back hard but was losing the battle against death. "It's dying," Maya said softly. The creature's eyes found hers across the chamber. There was intelligence there, and something else. Pain? Yes, but also a kind of resignation. This being knew it was dying and had accepted its fate. Maya took another step forward. "Maya, don't," Jake called out. But she was already moving. The creature watched her approach but made no aggressive moves. Up close, Maya could see that its wounds were even worse than the others. Deep gashes ran along its sides and one of its limbs was bent at an unnatural angle. But more than that, she could see something in its eyes that she recognized: loneliness. Without thinking, Maya knelt beside the massive head. The creature's breathing was becoming more shallow with each passing moment. Its eyes, now dim, still held that spark of intelligence and awareness. Maya reached out slowly, her hand trembling as she placed it on the creature's snout. The scales were warm and surprisingly smooth. The being's eyes focused on her with what seemed like surprise. "I'm sorry," Maya whispered. "I'm sorry this happened to you." The creature made a soft sound, almost like a purr. Strange symbols began to appear on its scales, glowing with the same blue light as its eyes. The patterns moved and shifted, creating what looked like writing or perhaps music made visible. Maya felt drawn to comfort this dying being. Despite the warnings from her team, despite the creature's fearsome appearance, she could see past all of that to the intelligence and pain beneath. Moving carefully, she wrapped her arms around the massive head, holding it close. The creature's breathing slowed even more. The glowing symbols on its scales pulsed brighter for a moment, then began to fade. Maya felt tears running down her cheeks as she held the dying being, offering what comfort she could in its final moments. With one last soft sound, the creature's eyes closed and its breathing stopped. The chamber fell silent except for the distant sounds of the failing ship. Maya continued to hold the creature for several minutes, unwilling to let go. Something had changed in that moment of contact, though she couldn't say what. She felt different somehow, as if something had passed between them. "Maya," Jake said gently, "we need to go." She nodded and slowly released her hold on the creature. As she stood, she noticed that some of the symbols on its scales were still glowing faintly, though the being was clearly dead. The team made their way back to their shuttle in silence. As they lifted off from the alien ship, Maya looked back at the massive vessel floating in the nebula. Somewhere in its depths lay the creature she had comforted, and she found herself hoping that her presence had made its passing a little less lonely. None of them noticed the small device hidden in the alien ship's systems, recording everything that had happened and preparing to transmit the data across the galaxy to others who would understand its significance. 3 weeks had passed since the encounter in the nebula, and Maya found herself thinking about the dying creature every day. The Starbound continued its mission of exploration, mapping new systems and cataloging alien life forms, but something felt different now. Maya caught herself staring at her hands sometimes, remembering the warmth of those crystalline scales and the intelligence in those fading blue eyes. Dr. Kane had run every medical test he could think of, but Maya appeared perfectly healthy. Her blood work was normal, her brain scans showed no changes, and her physical condition was actually better than before. Still, she felt different in ways that the medical scanners could not detect. "Another headache?" Amy asked, finding Maya in the ship's observation lounge staring out at the stars. Maya shook her head. "Not a headache exactly. More like hearing something just outside of my range, you know. Like when you think someone called your name but you're not sure." Amy sat down beside her friend. The security officer had been watching Maya carefully since their return from the alien ship, looking for any signs of alien influence or contamination. So far, Maya seemed like the same compassionate scientist she had always been, just more thoughtful than usual. Maybe you should talk to Dr. Kane again, Amy suggested. Before Maya could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed as Commander Morrison's voice came over the communication system. All hands to battle stations. Unknown vessels approaching on multiple vectors. Maya and Amy rushed to the bridge where they found Jake studying the tactical display with growing concern. 6 ships had appeared on their sensors, moving in perfect formation toward the Starbound. The vessels were sleek and predatory in design, with the same flowing curves and sharp angles they had seen on the derelict ship in the nebula. "Distance?" Jake asked. 2 million kilometers and closing fast, reported the navigation officer. Amy took her position at the weapons console. "Shields up, weapons ready. Should I target them?" Jake hesitated. The approaching ship showed no hostile intent so far, but their appearance was undeniably threatening. Each vessel looked like it had been designed by someone who understood both beauty and death intimately. "Wait," Maya said suddenly. "Don't fire." Everyone on the bridge turned to look at her. Maya was staring at the tactical display with an expression of intense concentration, as if she was listening to something only she could hear. "Maya?" Jake asked. "They're not here to fight," she said, with certainty that surprised even herself. "They're looking for something, someone." The alien ships continued their approach, taking up positions around the Starbound that could have been either protective or threatening. Jake was about to order Amy to charge weapons when the communication console came to life with an incoming transmission. Static filled the bridge speakers, followed by what sounded like multiple voices speaking in harmony. The words were clearly alien, but there was something hauntingly familiar about the rhythm and tone. Then, cutting through the alien voices, came a single word in broken but recognizable human language. "Sister." Maya gasped, her hand flying to her chest. The word seemed to resonate through her entire body, awakening something that had been sleeping since her encounter with the dying creature. "Sister," the voices repeated, and this time Maya could hear the hope and reverence in that simple word. Dr. Kane was running his scanner over Maya again, and his readings were going wild. "Jake, her biosignature is changing. Her cellular structure is resonating with something." "The alien ships," Maya said softly. "They're responding to me." "To what happened on that ship?" Jake stared at her. "What are you talking about?" Maya closed her eyes, trying to understand what was happening to her. The strange feeling she had been experiencing for weeks suddenly made sense. "When I held that creature as it died, something passed between us, some kind of marking or recognition." The alien voices came through the speakers again, this time with more human words mixed in. "Death Singer? Sister, come." "Death Singer?" Amy repeated. Maya opened her eyes, understanding flooding through her. "That's what they're calling me." "The creature," I comforted. "It was one of them. And somehow, what I did marked me as something important to their people." One of the alien ships moved closer to the Starbound, and Jake could see details of its construction now. The hull was covered in the same kind of flowing symbols they had seen on the dying creature's scales, and the ship itself seemed to pulse with inner light. "They want to meet with me," Maya said with growing certainty. Jake shook his head. "Absolutely not. We don't know anything about these beings or what they want." "Commander," Dr. Kane interrupted, studying his readings, "Maya's cellular structure is continuing to change. Whatever connection she made with that creature, it's still active. Her DNA is showing traces of the same biosignature we detected." "On the alien ship?" Maya stood up from her chair. "They're not threatening us, Jake. Can't you hear it in their voices? They're treating me like family." Amy checked her tactical readings. "No weapons locks, no charging energy signatures. They're just waiting." The alien transmission came again, and this time the voices were clearer. Multiple beings were speaking, but they were synchronized in a way that suggested deep cooperation. "Sister Maya, come home. Pack weights." "They know my name," Maya said. In wonder, Jake ran his hands through his hair, trying to process what was happening. First contact protocols never covered situations like this. How could they possibly know your name? Dr. Kane looked up from his scanner. The bioneural networks on that derelict ship. If they recorded the encounter, they could have accessed our communication logs, learned our language, identified Maya. Sister. Maya, the voices called again. Death Singer. Come to pack, mother? Maya felt drawn to respond, though she did not understand why. Something deep inside her was awakening, a sense of belonging that she had never felt before. I need to go too? That's not happening, Jake said firmly. Jake, please. They're not enemies. I can feel it. Whatever that creature was, whatever its people are, they're honoring something sacred to them. The fact that I comforted one of their own as it died. Amy was studying the alien ship formations. They could have destroyed us already if that was their intention. Their positioning is protective, not aggressive. The largest of the alien ships began transmitting again, and this time an image appeared on their main screen. It showed the interior of what looked like a vast chamber filled with creatures similar to the one Maya had encountered. All of them had the same crystalline scales and intelligent eyes, but these beings were very much alive and healthy. In the center of the chamber stood a creature larger than the others, ancient-looking and covered in symbols that glowed with soft light. When it spoke, its voice came through their speakers with surprising clarity. Human Death Singer. You gave comfort to Zixthara in final moments. This is sacred act among our people. You are marked now as sister, as one who sings the death song with compassion. We are void hunters, and we invite Death Singer to meet Pack Mother. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes. The creature she had held had a name, Zixthara, and somehow her simple act of compassion had connected her to an entire species. Pack Mother wishes to honor Death Singer, to explain what marking means, to offer protection of the pack. Jake looked at Maya, seeing the determination in her eyes. You really want to go to them? I have to, Maya said. This is bigger than just first contact, Jake. This is about something fundamental to their culture, their way of understanding life and death. I can't ignore that double quotes. Dr. Kane checked his readings one more time. Her biosignature is stabilizing. Whatever change is happening, it seems to be natural, not harmful. Amy nodded slowly. If we're going to do this, we do it carefully. Full security escort, constant communication, and emergency extraction plan. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew, then back at the alien ships waiting patiently around them. Sometimes being a commander meant making decisions based on trust, rather than protocol. All right, he said finally. But we do this my way, full precautions. Maya smiled, feeling a sense of rightness that she had not experienced since holding Zixthara as it died. She was about to meet the Pack Mother and learn what it truly meant to be called sister by the galaxy's apex predators. The Pack Mother was ancient beyond anything Maya could have imagined. Standing nearly 15 feet tall, her crystalline scales had taken on a deep silver color that spoke of countless years and battles survived. When Maya entered the vast chamber, aboard the Void Hunter flagship, she felt the weight of that ancient gaze studying her with an intelligence that seemed to see straight through to her soul. Death Singer Maya Collins, the Pack Mother spoke, her voice resonating through the chamber, with a power that made the air itself vibrate. You honored Zixthara with the sacred comfort. You have been marked. Maya looked around the chamber in wonder. Dozens of void hunters filled the space, all watching her with the same glowing blue eyes she remembered from Zixthara. Some were smaller, perhaps younger members of their species, while others bore scars and markings that suggested they were veteran warriors. I don't understand what happened, Maya said honestly. I just couldn't let him die alone. The Pack Mother moved closer, her massive form surprisingly graceful. This is why you are Death Singer. Humans feel for others, even those they do not know, even those who could destroy them. This is rare gift in galaxy. Commander Morrison and Lieutenant Brooks flanked Maya, their weapons lowered but ready. Dr. Kane was recording everything with his medical scanner, fascinated by the biological readings he was getting from the assembled Void Hunters. You spoke of a marking, Maya said. What does that mean? The Pack Mother gestured with one of her clawed hands, and symbols began to glow along her scales in patterns, similar to what Maya had seen on Zixthara. When one of our kind dies, final moments are sacred. If stranger shows compassion, gives comfort without thought of reward or safety, that stranger becomes sister, becomes family. Maya felt a warmth spreading through her chest at those words. Family. She had always been close to her human crew, but this felt different, deeper somehow. But there is more, the pack mother continued. Zixthara was last of her hunting pack. She carried memories of the old ways, the ancient songs of our people. When you comforted her, she passed these to you before dying. This has never happened with Alien before. Dr. Kane looked up from his scanner. Maya, your neural patterns are showing activity in areas that were dormant before. It's like new pathways have been opened in your brain. The pack mother nodded approvingly. Death Singer now carries part of Void Hunter legacy. This makes her bridge between species. This makes her valuable to enemies. Enemies? Jake asked, his hand moving instinctively toward his weapon. The hegemony, the pack mother said, and her voice carried hatred that made the temperature in the chamber seem to drop. They call themselves civilized, but they seek to destroy all they consider inferior. They have hunted our kind across the galaxy for many cycles. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. The ship where I found Zixthara, was that a hegemony attack? Yes, Zixthara's pack was ambushed while hunting. Only she survived long enough to reach that ship, and only barely. The pack mother's scales darkened with anger. Hegemony wants galaxy cleansed of apex predators. They see us as threat to their order. Amy stepped forward. How many apex predator species are there? The pack mother turned her attention to the security officer. Many. We Void Hunters are largest, but there are others. Shadow Stalkers who move between dimensions. Crimson Wraiths who are pure energy. Bone Reapers who are ancient machines with living souls. All have been hunted by hegemony. Maya felt something stirring in her mind, like memories that were not her own. Images of other creatures, other species, flashed through her consciousness. She saw beings of shadow and light, mechanical forms with glowing cores, energy creatures that danced between stars. The memories Zixthara gave me, Maya said softly. I can see them. The other apex predators? The pack mother's eyes brightened with surprise and respect. This is unprecedented. Death Singer truly carries our sister's legacy. Dr. Kane was frantically taking readings. Maya, your brain activity is off the charts. You're processing information in ways that should be impossible for human neurology. Maya closed her eyes and let the strange new memories flow through her mind. She saw the history of the apex predators, how they had once been the galaxy's guardians, keeping balance between the civilized worlds and the chaotic forces of space. Each species had their role, the Void Hunters as the strong arm, the Shadow Stalkers as scouts and spies, the Crimson Wraiths as energy manipulators, the Bone Reapers as keepers of ancient knowledge. But something changed, Maya said, opening her eyes. The hegemony convinced the galaxy that apex predators were monsters instead of protectors. Yes, the pack mother confirmed. They fear what they cannot control. Apex predators follow honor codes older than their civilizations. We do not bow to their authority, so we must be eliminated. Jake looked around the chamber at the assembled Void Hunters. How many of your people are left? Few, the pack mother admitted sadly. This ship carries most of our remaining population, perhaps 2,000 individuals across all age groups. Other apex predator species fare no better. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes as the weight of what she was learning hit her. An entire category of species was being systematically exterminated, and she had somehow become connected to their struggle for survival. What happens now? She asked. The pack mother studied her for a long moment. Now, Death Singer must choose. Return to human space and live normal life, or accept role as bridge between apex predators. Help us find other survivors. Help us fight. Back, Amy shook her head. You're asking her to choose between her own species and yours. No, the pack mother said firmly. Humans are not enemy. Hegemony is enemy of all free peoples. Humans are young species still learning their place in galaxy. But Death Singer has shown that humans have capacity for great compassion. This could change everything. Maya felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She thought about her life aboard the Starbound, her research, her friends among the crew. But she also felt the pull of something larger, something that connected her to beings she was only beginning to understand. The other apex predator species, she said. Are they open to working together? The pack mother made a sound that might have been laughter. Apex predators do not cooperate. Each species hunts alone, trusts only their own kind. This has made us easy targets for hegemony, but what if they could be convinced? Maya pressed. What if there was someone who could speak to all of them, someone who carried the trust of each species? The ancient being's eyes widened as she understood what Maya was suggesting. Death Singer thinks to unite the apex predators? Maya nodded, feeling certainty growing inside her. The memories from Zixtara, they're not just about void hunters. I can sense connections to the other species too. If I could meet with them, if I could prove myself to them the way I did with your people, it would be dangerous, the pack mother warned. Each species has different ways of testing worthiness. Shadow stalkers might try to break your mind. Crimson wraiths could drain your life force. Bone reapers might challenge your very soul. Maya looked at Jake and her friends, seeing concern and support in their faces. But if it worked, if the apex predators could unite for the first time in galactic history, we could fight back. The pack mother finished. We could protect ourselves and others from hegemony aggression. Jake stepped forward. Maya, this is bigger than anything we signed up for when we joined the exploration service. I know, Maya said. But I can't walk away from this. These people are dying, Jake, all of them. And maybe, just maybe, I can help them survive. The pack mother bowed her massive head toward Maya. If Death Singer chooses this path, void hunters will follow. We will help you reach other apex predator species. We will stand with you against hegemony. Maya felt the strange new memories stirring in her mind again, showing her glimpses of what might be possible if the apex predators could truly work together. It would be the most dangerous thing she had ever attempted, but it might also be the most important. Then let's begin, she said. The first test came from the Shadow Stalkers 3 days after Maya's meeting with the pack mother. The Starbound was traveling with a small fleet of void hunter ships when space itself seemed to bend and twist around them. Reality became fluid. As dark shapes emerged from what looked like tears in the fabric of space, Maya felt the new memories in her mind responding to the presence of the Shadow Stalkers, showing her glimpses of beings who existed partially outside normal space and time. They were hunters who could step between dimensions, appearing and disappearing like living nightmares. Dimensional rifts opening all around us, Amy reported from her tactical station, trying to keep track of targets that seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Commander Morrison gripped his chair as the ship shuddered. Are they attacking? Maya closed her eyes and reached out with senses she was still learning to use. The Shadow Stalkers were not here to fight, but to test her worthiness. They want to see if I'm real, if the connection to Zixthara's memories is genuine. A voice whispered through the ship's communication system, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Death Singer who claims to carry the old memories, come to us. Walk in the spaces between spaces. Dr. Kane looked up from his medical scanner with alarm. Maya, your neural activity is spiking again. Whatever they're doing, it's affecting you directly. Maya stood up from her chair, feeling the pull of something beyond physical space. They want me to enter their dimensional pocket. It's how they test whether someone can truly understand their nature. Jake shook his head firmly. Absolutely not. We don't know what that could do to you. The memories are showing me the way, Maya said, her voice taking on a distant quality. Zixthara knew their ways. She hunted alongside them once. Before anyone could stop her, Maya walked toward what looked like empty space near the center of the bridge. But as she approached, the air shimmered and a dark opening appeared, revealing a corridor that seemed to lead into impossible depths. Maya, wait, Amy called out. But Maya had already stepped through the dimensional rift. The space between dimensions was unlike anything Maya could have imagined. She walked through corridors that existed in multiple realities at once, seeing overlapping images of the same passage in different states of existence. Shadow stalkers moved around her like living darkness, their forms shifting and changing as they evaluated her presence. "Human who carries Void Hunter memories," one of them spoke, its voice echoing strangely in the dimensional space. "You claim to bridge species? Prove you can walk our paths without losing yourself?" Maya felt disorientation trying to overwhelm her mind as the dimensional space shifted around her. Multiple versions of reality competed for her attention, each one slightly different from the others. In one, the corridor was filled with light. In another, it was completely dark. In a third, it seemed to be made of crystalline structures that sang when she moved past them. The memories from Zixthara helped guide her through the confusion. She could sense which version of reality was the true path and which were illusions meant to test her resolve. Step by step, she made her way through the dimensional maze while shadow stalkers watched from the spaces between spaces. "Interesting," another shadow stalker observed. "She does not fight the multiple realities. She accepts them and finds the true path." Maya continued walking, letting the ancient memories guide her through passages that existed in folded space. She began to understand that the shadow stalkers were not just predators but guardians of dimensional boundaries, keeping dangerous things from crossing between realities. "The hegemony seeks to close all dimensional rifts," a third shadow stalker said as Maya navigated a particularly complex intersection of realities. "They fear what they cannot control or understand. They would trap us in single reality where we would die." Maya felt anger on behalf of these beings who were being forced to give up their very nature to satisfy the hegemony's need for control. "That's not right. The galaxy needs guardians who can move between dimensions." "You understand," the first shadow stalker said with what might have been approval. "Few beings comprehend our purpose." The dimensional maze began to simplify as Maya proved her ability to navigate their realm. Finally, she emerged into a central chamber where dozens of shadow stalkers had gathered. Their leader, a being of such darkness that looking at it directly was difficult, approached her with movements that seemed to bend space around it. "Deathsinger has passed the trial of multiple realities," the shadow stalker leader announced. "You carry true memories of our sister hunter Zixthara. We acknowledge your bond." Maya felt a new connection forming in her mind, similar to what had happened with the Void Hunters, but different in quality. The Shadow Stalker's essence was about movement and change, about seeing beyond the obvious reality that others accepted. "Will you work with the other apex predators?" Maya asked. "Will you help us stand against the hegemony?" The Shadow Stalker leader was quiet for a long moment, consulting with the others in ways that Maya could sense but not understand. "We have always hunted alone, but the hegemony threatens our very existence. If Deathsinger can unite the scattered apex predators, shadow stalkers will emerge from the spaces between to fight." Maya felt relief and growing confidence. Two apex predator species had now accepted her as a bridge between them. But she knew the hardest tests were still ahead when she returned to the Starbound through another dimensional rift. Her crew gathered around her anxiously. Dr. Kane immediately began scanning her for changes or damage. "You were gone for 6 hours, Jake said with worry clear in his voice. Maya blinked in surprise. "It felt like maybe 30 minutes. "Time flows differently in dimensional space," Amy observed. Having monitored the situation from the bridge, Dr. Kane looked up from his scanner with fascination. "Maya, your brain is developing new neural pathways at an incredible rate. It's like you're evolving in real time to accommodate these new connections." Maya felt the truth of that statement. Each encounter with an apex predator species was changing her, adding new ways of thinking and perceiving reality. She was becoming something that had never existed before. A being capable of truly understanding and communicating with the galaxy's most dangerous predators. "The Crimson Wraiths are next," Maya said, accessing the memories that now came from 2 different apex predator species. "But their test will be different. They'll want to see if I can survive direct contact with pure energy beings. The Pack Mother's voice came through the communication system from the Void Hunter ship traveling alongside them. Death Singer has passed second trial. Shadow Stalkers acknowledge the bond. But Crimson Wraiths are most dangerous. They feed on life force itself. Maya nodded, feeling both anticipation and fear. Each test brought her closer to uniting the apex predators, but also closer to losing her humanity entirely. She could feel herself changing with each new connection, becoming something more than human but not entirely alien either. "When do we meet them?" she asked. "Soon," the Pack Mother replied. "Crimson Wraiths have been tracking us since you passed Shadow Stalker trial. They are curious about Human, who carries memories of their ancient allies." Jake looked at Maya with growing concern. "Are you sure you can handle this? Each test seems to be pushing you further from what you were." Maya considered the question carefully. She could feel the changes happening within her. The way her perception of reality was expanding to accommodate new ways of thinking and being. But underneath it all, she was still the same person who had felt compelled to comfort a dying creature in a dark ship. "I'm still me, Jake," she said finally, "just becoming more than I was. And if that's what it takes to save these species from extinction, then it's worth it." Amy checked her tactical displays as new energy signatures appeared on their sensors. Incoming vessels. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Maya felt the newest memories stirring in her mind, showing her glimpses of beings made of pure energy who danced between stars and fed on the life force of entire solar systems. The Crimson Wraiths had arrived, and their test would determine whether she could survive contact with beings who existed as living energy. "Here we go," Maya said, preparing herself for the most dangerous trial yet. The Crimson Wraiths arrived like living stars, their energy forms pulsing with light that shifted from deep red to brilliant white. Maya watched from the bridge of the Starbound as dozens of these pure energy beings surrounded their small fleet, moving in patterns that seemed to follow some cosmic dance older than civilizations. "They're beautiful," Maya whispered, feeling the memories from Zixtara and the Shadow Stalkers, showing her glimpses of what these beings truly were. Not just energy creatures, but living manifestations of the life force that connected all things. In the galaxy. Dr. Kane was studying his readings with growing amazement. "Maya, they're affecting you from a distance. Your biosignature is resonating with their energy patterns." Maya could feel it too, a warm, tingling sensation spreading through her body as the Crimson Wraith's presence awakened something new in her transformed physiology. The connection was different from what she had experienced with the Void Hunters or Shadow Stalkers. This was deeper, more fundamental. "Death Singer," a voice spoke directly into Maya's mind, bypassing her ears entirely. The communication was pure thought and emotion, carrying with it the essence of starlight and cosmic fire. "You seek to unite the scattered children of the old ways." Maya closed her eyes and tried to respond the same way, thinking her words with as much clarity and emotion as possible. "I want to help. Your people are being hunted to extinction. We know of your trials with our brother hunters, the Crimson Wraith replied. "Void hunters speak of compassion. Shadow stalkers speak of understanding, but we are life itself. To bond with us, you must be willing to share your very essence." Commander Morrison stepped closer to Maya, seeing the strain on her face as she communicated with the energy beings. "Maya, what do they want?" "They want to test whether I can survive direct contact with pure life energy," Maya said, opening her eyes to look at her friends. "It's how they determine if someone is truly worthy of their trust." Amy checked her weapons console nervously. "What happens if you can't survive it?" Maya felt the memories showing her glimpses of what the Crimson Wraiths were capable of. They could drain the life force from entire planets if they chose to, or they could share energy to heal and strengthen those they considered worthy. "Either I'll be strengthened by the connection or the energy will burn me out completely." Dr. Kane was already preparing emergency medical procedures. "Your cellular structure has been changing with each encounter. Maybe you can survive what would kill a normal human." The Crimson Wraith's voice filled Maya's mind again. "Come to us, Death Singer. Let us see if your transformation is complete enough to bridge the gap between matter and energy. Maya looked around the bridge at her crew, these humans who had become her family during their time exploring the galaxy together. Jake's face showed the concern of a commander who cared deeply for his people. Amy's expression mixed worry with professional readiness to act if things went wrong. Dr. Kane was already calculating medical responses to whatever might happen. If something goes wrong, Maya said quietly, tell my parents that I was trying to save lives. Tell them that what I did mattered. Jake shook his head. You're coming back, Maya. That's an order. Maya smiled at her commanding officer and friend. Yes, sir. The energy transfer began before Maya could even leave the ship. One of the Crimson Wraiths approached the Starbound and extended what looked like a tendril of pure light toward the bridge. The energy passed through the hull as if it were not there. Reaching for Maya with gentle but irresistible force, Maya felt the energy touch her mind first, then her body as the Crimson Wraith began to examine her very essence. The sensation was overwhelming, like being touched by lightning and starlight at the same time. Her consciousness expanded beyond her physical form as the energy being explored the changes that her encounters with the other apex predators had created. Interesting, the Crimson Wraith observed, its voice now coming from all around Maya as the energy enveloped her completely. You carry not just memories but actual essence fragments from our brother hunters. The transformation runs deeper than we expected. Maya felt herself beginning to glow with the same energy that surrounded the Crimson Wraiths. Her human form was still there, but it was enhanced now with currents of life force that connected her to the cosmic patterns these beings followed. The hegemony fears us because they cannot control the life force, the Crimson Wraith explained as energy flowed between them. They seek to create artificial life, to build beings that follow their rules rather than the natural patterns of existence. This is why they hunt us. Maya felt anger flowing through the energy connection, but it was not the hot rage of the void hunters or the cold determination of the shadow stalkers. This was the deep, patient anger of forces that had watched civilizations rise and fall while maintaining the cosmic balance. They're trying to remake the galaxy in their image, Maya realized, understanding flooding through her as the energy connection deepened. They don't want diversity or natural evolution? They want control, yes, the Crimson Wraith confirmed. And you, Deathsinger, represent everything they fear, a being who can unite the natural forces they seek to destroy. The energy transfer reached its peak, and Maya felt her consciousness touch something vast and ancient, the collective memory of all. Crimson Wraith stretching back to the birth of the first stars. She saw the galaxy as it once was, when apex predators worked together to maintain balance between order and chaos, between the civilized worlds and the wild forces of space. We accept you, the Crimson Wraith announced, and Maya felt the energy connection stabilize into something permanent. You are now bridge between matter and energy, between the solid and the ethereal. The fourth bond is complete. Maya returned to normal awareness to find her crew staring at her in amazement. Her body was glowing with soft light that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, and her eyes now held flecks of the same cosmic fire that burned within the Crimson Wraiths. 4 species, Maya said, feeling the connections to all of them thrumming in her transformed mind. But there's still one more. The Pack Mother's voice came through the communication system with what sounded like concern. The Bone Reapers are the most dangerous, Deathsinger. They are ancient machines with living souls, guardians of knowledge that predates most galactic civilizations. Their test will challenge not your body or mind, but your very spirit. Dr. Kane was running every scan he could, his readings showing that Maya's transformation was now affecting her at the quantum level. Maya, you're not entirely human anymore. Your cellular structure is incorporating elements from all 4 apex predator species? Maya nodded, feeling the truth of that observation. She was becoming something new, something that had never existed before, a being capable of truly understanding and uniting the galaxy's most powerful forces. The hegemony will have detected what's happening by now, Amy said, checking long-range sensors. They'll be coming. Maya felt a sense of urgency building within the connected memories of all four apex predator species. Time was running out. If she was going to unite them all and give them a chance to fight back against the hegemony's campaign of extermination, she needed to complete the final bond soon. "Then we find the Bone Reapers quickly," Maya said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated with the energy still flowing through her. "And we finish what Zixtara started when she chose to share her memories with a human who showed her compassion in her final moments." Jake looked at his transformed crew member, seeing both the Maya he had always known and something far greater. "All right, Maya, let's go save the galaxy." The combined fleet of Void Hunters, Shadow Stalkers, and Crimson Wraiths began moving toward the coordinates where ancient signals suggested the last Bone Reapers might be found. Behind them, unknown to the apex predators, hegemony scout ships were beginning to track their movements, preparing for a confrontation that would determine the future of all free species in the galaxy.